I'm Michelle. Thanks for joining me today for Yoga at the Gate. Yoga that you can do while you're waiting for your flight to board or even waiting in line at the grocery store. No equipment required, won't be anything dramatic. We're not going to be laying on any gross airport carpet, and we're not going to be accidentally becoming a TikTok star by being that person at the gate. So these are just subtle, practical, and natural things that you may even recognize from your regular daily life. There are often some moves that we do intuitively to stretch out the body or provide ourselves with comfort, and we haven't even thought, hey, that's yoga. So to get started, you don't need a suitcase like I have today. You can be wearing whatever it is that's comfortable. I'm wearing my normal travel clothes today, so no need to be wearing sporty clothing. You can be with or without shoes, although if you are in public, please keep your shoes on for yourself and everybody else's safety and comfort. And we'll just begin here with noticing our breath. So you can stand in whatever a comfortable position is for you. This practice will be standing today. If you're more comfortable seating, you can just take a seat. That's all right as well. Sometimes seating is difficult to come by in an airport environment or a transit environment. So this can all be done standing. If you don't have a seat, that's perfectly fine. So take a moment to notice your breath. You can leave the eyes open or you can close them down if you're in an environment where you're comfortable with keeping your eyes closed just for a moment. Notice your breathing. Notice your heart rate. Maybe you just ran to the gate. Maybe you're running late. Maybe the plane's running late. Maybe someone lost your luggage. Who knows? Just notice, how are you feeling in your body today? Are you tired? Are you stressed? Are you feeling good? Are you excited for a vacation? Did you already take advantage of the airport bar and you're feeling a little tipsy? Who knows? Just notice. No need to judge. We're just noticing how it is that we're showing up today. Great. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes, or if they were already open, you're ready to go. We're going to start out with a shoulder reset. So just some subtle moves here. Sometimes we carry tension that we don't even realize we have until we take a moment to focus on it. So notice how the shoulders are. Sometimes when we're stressed, they tend to creep up towards our ears. I know mine do. So we're going to do that move intentionally. So on an inhale, we're going to scrunch the shoulders up towards the ears. And then exhale, let them melt back down. Inhale, back up towards the ears. And exhale, let them back down. One more time, up and down. Great. Now, something that can help if you've been carrying around a backpack or maybe a hand luggage like this, we carry a lot of tension in between our shoulders. So we'll take the hands and clasp them together at the waist. Take an inhale, let the chest open up nice and wide. Then exhale, take your hands and pull them away from you. So down and away. You can let your chin tuck gently, and you should feel a nice stretch between your shoulder blades, down the top center of your back, and a little bit along the top of your shoulders and side of your neck. If you're in a place where you feel a little bit more comfortable taking up space, this can be a really, really nice stretch to take it a little bit deeper by lifting the arms up and rounding the shoulders out behind you. But even just a little subtle move here gives you a really nice stretch. Whenever you're ready, release, and we'll practice a little bit of neck mobility. Right ear comes down to the right shoulder. Notice the stretch along the left side of the neck. Make sure we're letting that left shoulder here kind of melt down, not letting it follow the head and scrunch up. Great. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. Let that right shoulder relax. If you open your hand towards the front, you can feel a little bit more sensation for opening. Great. One more time on each side, back through center. Right ear to right shoulder. Back through center. Left ear to left shoulder. back to center. Moving on to our hands. We spend a lot of time, particularly for me on travel days, gripping a suitcase, putting your luggage up in the overhead bin, maybe gripping the steering wheel, driving in traffic to get to the airport, holding onto your phone, your boarding pass, all sorts of things. So our hands can tend to get pretty strained or stressed out or just fatigued. So we'll take a moment to give our wrists and fingers some love. We're going to start with some wrist circles. Can get a little snap, crackle, pop here. My wrists always pop when I do this. Take it the other direction. You can even do this one at a time. Holding each wrist a little bit more supportive this way. Taking it the opposite direction. Other side. Circles in one direction. There's no need to rush these. You can move quick if you'd like to, but be sure that we're not rushing through and ignoring sensation. It's really easy to ignore pain signals when we take things too fast. So sometimes slowing down can really help us be present in our body and make choices that are good for our health. Great. We're done with that. We're going to stretch out the fingers a little bit. So a little bit of the opposite of the gripping motion that we may have been doing all day. Take your hands, place them palms together in a prayer-like motion. If you don't feel comfortable doing this in whatever public space you're in, you can also drop it down to your waist like this, a little bit more subtle. So from the side here, just a little bit more subtle, either hands up here in prayer or down around the waist. Either way, whichever position we're in, we're going to bring the elbows up towards the fingertips. So in a high prayer, elbows moving up towards the fingertips, you'll feel pressure pushing your fingertips together. Your wrist will start to separate at the bottom, and you're creating a nice stretch right here through the pads of the hands, this first finger joint. And what it looks like if you're doing it at the lower prayer position is your elbows are going to move forward away from the body. They're still moving towards your fingertips, just in a different plane of space. So that same nice stretch here. So you'll feel a stretch in your fingers. Also get a really nice stretch on the front of your wrist here. Just take a moment to enjoy that. Next, we'll move on to some just little finger waves. Increase in our circulation, just like, waving at the baby next to you in the seat. Waving at a stranger. If you don't want to be waving at a stranger, maybe keep your hands down if you're not trying to get anybody's attention. Good. Next, moving on to rib breathing. So if you are having a tough travel day, this kind of breathing can really help you ground and center. So we're going to practice what's called diaphragmatic breathing. Your diaphragm is this muscle that lies underneath your ribs and below your belly, and it forms kind of a shelf below your lungs. So whenever you are breathing through your diaphragm, you're going to be relaxing the belly here. So we're all wearing our comfy travel pants, right? Comfy travel pants allow us to relax our belly. And then as we breathe in, we'll allow the belly to expand. And then as we exhale, the belly is going to fall back in towards us. So it's an out and in motion, and we feel it a little bit more in the belly, whereas our natural breathing is oftentimes more in the chest and a little bit smaller. What we're going to do here to help us focus on the sensation is cross our arms. Instead of the traditional cross with our arms or hands fisted, we're going to keep our hands open. So we're going to cross our arms. You can see my fingers here sticking out. And then we're going to lay a hand on either side of the rib cage. It's okay if you can't feel your ribs. That's perfectly normal. If you want to determine where your ribs are, most likely if your arms are crossed like this and your hands are on your torso, that's where your ribs are. But if you want confirmation, you can take a deep breath in, and wherever you feel the expansion, that's going to be where your ribs are. So place your fingers on either side here, and we're just going to breathe gently and deeply in and out. And so our arm and finger placement here is going to allow us to feel the sensation of our breath. So as we let our belly relax and we breathe in, focusing on expanding the belly and the diaphragm, the belly is going to push out, which is going to put pressure on the center section of our arms here. So we'll feel that happen. And also our rib cage is going to expand out as we're filling ourselves up with air. and we're going to be able to feel those muscles, that skin on the body, on the side body, expand and contract. So deep breath in through the nose here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out through the mouth, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job. In through the nose again, feeling the chest and the rib cage expand, noticing the pressure the belly puts on the forearms as we fill up with air. Exhale through the mouth, feeling the contraction, belly returns to resting, rib cage sinks back in. One more deep breath in through the nose, feeling the sides press against the fingers. And exhale through the mouth, relaxing. Great, good work. Now we're going to do a standing posture check-in. So a lot of the time when we're standing, we're waiting, we're dumping weight into one hip. We might be crossing our legs, we might be standing on our heels. We can do all sorts of things, leaning against walls, trying to make ourselves comfortable. So we'll just take a moment here to be really intentional about how our posture is set up in our body so that we're stacking all of our joints on top of each other and providing a really good supportive way of standing and engaging so that we feel a little bit less compressed. Starting with the feet. Feet want to be about hips width distance apart. If you're not sure how wide that is, it's usually about 2 fists wide. You can just look down and eyeball it, or if you're in a place where you're comfortable, you can reach your hands down there and measure. Feet hips width distance, and then spread your toes out. If you're wearing kind of pointier-toed shoes and you don't have a lot of space to spread your toes out, I highly recommend getting some wider-toed shoes, particularly for travel. It can be really, really helpful for your fatigue on your legs and your feet and your comfort overall, since we have typically a lot of swelling that happens when you're traveling, especially if you're traveling by air. So whatever you've got today is what you've got. Spread your toes as far apart as you can. And now imagine your foot has 4 corners. So if my palm here or my foot, we've got 4 corners here. And we'd like to spread our weight to each of the 4 corners. So notice if you're leaning back a little bit or if you're leaning forward a little bit, you might be leaning to one side or leaning to the other. So just bring it all into the center and imagine spreading your weight out. Now press into those 4 corners. And as you do that, pressing in on your feet, you should feel a subtle lifting of the arch of your foot. Great. Now bring that energy up the legs. Squeeze the kneecaps or the quads, just engage. So lift the kneecaps up. Great. Notice that sensation there. You should get a nice little emphasis there in the quadriceps. Now release that and leave a nice little micro bend in the knees there. Great. Now coming back up through the hips, check in and see if we're going to one side or another. Sometimes when we leave the feet alone, even for a moment, we shift back into those patterns. So center back up. A lot of us have a tendency to stand with kind of our booty sticking out, which is fine, but sometimes can cause some pressure on the lower back. And particularly if we're spending a lot of time sitting or standing, this can cause pain as we go through our day. So tuck the pelvis. Imagine that your tailbone is pointing down into the ground. And you'll feel kind of an opening in the front of the hips here as you do that. You can engage your core muscles to help tuck the pelvis. Great. And now check back in on those feet, see where they went, and make sure we're still centered, pressing down into all 4 corners of the feet, feeling the arch of the feet subtly lift. Great. Hips centered, pelvis slightly tucked. Now imagine that there is a little string attached to your sternum, and it's pulling your chest up towards the ceiling. So we're going to allow our shoulders to melt down and back. Chest opens and lifts subtly. Great. And now that same string we're going to imagine is attached to the crown of our head, and it's pulling the crown of our head up nice and long. So elongating the spine, relieving some compression. Chin just gently tucks here. So not a dramatic movement, but not looking up here. We're going to put our head in a neutral position. So just slightly tucked with the chin. Great. and hands can come out to the side. You can have your palms forward if you want. You don't have to. You can just leave them relaxing. And just take a moment and notice what your body feels like when you've taken the time to do a little inventory and place your body intentionally. Great. Now that we're in this balanced posture where we're stacked up and a little bit better balanced, we're going to do a little bit of exercise with the calves, which is some balance work. If you don't feel comfortable doing this standing, that's okay. You can take a seat. You can also put your hand on something to support you. I will say that if you have a wheeled suitcase that has 4 wheels like this one, and you're not on carpet like I am, it's not going to support you in your balance. So be careful what you choose to rest your weight against. You don't want to be leaning on anything that's going to be rolling across the floor. But you can use just a chair, a pole, a wall, something like this, or you can have a seat, whatever you're comfortable with. First, we'll start with calf raises. So we're just going to be engaging the calf muscle by shifting the weight forward onto the toes and lifting the heels up. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this both feet at once, that's okay. You can do one at a time. So what that would look like from the side is that rather than lifting up together like this, we're just going to kick out the knee and do one at a time. So one at a time, just engaging the calves here. A lot of the time when we're sitting or standing for a long time, we tend to have a little bit tough circulation in the lower extremities. So this is just helping to engage the muscles, get some blood flowing. Good. Now we're going to take it the opposite direction. So same cues here. If you don't feel comfortable doing this standing, you can take a seat. If you'd rather do 1 foot at a time, that's perfectly fine too. This time we're shifting the weight into our heels and lifting the toes. So it can go both at once or just one at a time. And this time, rather than feeling the calves engage, you're going to feel the quadricep muscles engage. So once again, getting the blood flowing, making sure we're having good circulation in those lower extremities. It's going to help with swelling that comes along with traveling. Great. Now come back to center, and we're going to do a little bit of weight shifting. So come back to that nice centered stance. Check in with your feet posture. Imagine those 4 corners and press down. Feel that subtle lift through the arch of the foot. Tuck the tailbone slightly. Stand up nice and tall. Relax the shoulders. And now we're just going to go in a circle, clockwise and then counterclockwise. We're going to lean slightly forward just so our weight is in our toes. Slightly to the right, so weight's all in the right foot. Slightly back, so weight is now centered again, but we're on our heels. Then to the left, weight centered on the left foot. So removing the weight from the right foot, but centered. Back to the front, centered weight in the middle, forward on the toes. Weight on the right side. Weight in the center, but on the heels. Weight in the left. Back to the front. Great, now let's take it the other way. Over to the left. Back, weights in the heels. Weight to the right. Weight to the front. One more time, left. Back. Right. Forward. Good. Now we'll work on a little bit of standing balance. If you need some help here, use a prop, use the wall. We're just going to be shifting weight completely into one side and lifting the other foot off the ground. Doesn't have to come completely off the ground. So to start, weight shifts into the right foot. So we're just taking all the weight into our right hip here, gripping down through the right foot. Just let the left foot get light. You can just bring the heel up, or you can bring the foot all the way up. If you bring the foot all the way up off the ground, you might notice a little bit of wobbling. This is your ankle getting stronger. If it's too much wobbling, get some assistance, have a little balance. Great, left foot down, let's swap sides. So pay attention to your foot before you put the weight in there. We need a good foundation. So imagine those 4 corners. Press into the 4 corners of your foot. Feel that subtle lifting of the arch. Shifting over into the left hip now. Great. Weight's coming out of the right leg. Right knee is just coming up casually. You can even lift it all the way up off the ground. If there's wobbles here, that's okay. Your ankle's getting stronger. Engaging some of the smaller muscles that are really useful for balance and also for improving our circulation on those travel days. Good work. Come back to center. And now we're just going to give the legs a little bit of a shake. So if you're in a place where you can really shake them out, that's great. It might feel good. But if you're not and you don't want to make a scene like that, that's okay. We can just take a step forward and backward like this. Move them out just to get a little bit of motion in the ankles since they just worked hard to hold us up one at a time. Or you can lift and do some little ankle circles. That's a little bit more balance work too. Great. So come back to center wherever you are, seated or standing. We're going to take a breath to close the practice today. I like to put one hand on my chest and one hand on my belly, but if you're not comfortable doing that in whatever situation you're in, you can just clasp your hands together in your lap. We'll begin by breathing all of our air out. Then a deep breath in through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out through the mouth, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job. Thank you so much for spending a part of your day with me today. Thank yourself for showing up and appreciate that there are so many tiny things that you can do to improve your experience, no matter what your situation is or what circumstances you find yourself in. You have a wealth of knowledge and tools at your disposal. So once again, thank you for joining me for today, and I'll see you next time.